Good afternoon and welcome. This is episode 21 of the UK Genesis podcast, the show that likes to showcase UK professionals who use Genesis framework in one way or another. We had to kind of clear up that we're not just for designers, not just for developers. It's for the whole community of Genesis framework users in the UK, whatever that might be. Today, co-host, I've got Joe joining back. How are you doing today, Joe?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. And today's guest, we've got Liz, or Elizabeth Jamieson. How are you doing today, Liz?
Hi there, I'm very well, thanks.
Good.
Happy to be here.
Excellent. For those of us who are listening live, if you want to ask your questions to Liz, use the UK Genesis hashtag. If you put it to @UK Genesis, if you don't want to kind of spam all your followers as well. And if you're listening later, then thanks for listening. So Liz, for those who don't know who you are, we should probably say, just to kind of clear up, that we have previously had Mr. Jameson. We had Russell back in episode 10, so probably 6 months ago now, and you two kind of work together. But beyond that, do you want to give us an introduction about yourself?
Okay. Yeah. I'm a software developer of 30 years, and I met Russell when I was contracting in France. I went to a new company. I used to work for digital equipment, and I got a new contract in Switzerland, actually, on the Swiss-French border. And I met Russell the first night I landed, and we got together some months after that, and we've known each other since then. So I had a background in petro-chemical, banking, that kind of thing, and I've developed and designed lots and lots of systems in those arenas. Since coming back to the UK, I worked in banking in the city in London, and one day just decided I'd quit, and I came to live in Devon. And that's where I am now. And Russell didn't quit, he stayed in the city, and then one day he decided to quit, and then we put our heads together and decided to start a business so that we could actually spend some time together and work together, because we've always enjoyed working together. And that's where we are now. And we fell into WordPress probably in 2008, because I saw an advert for Stompernet, and it said it was a community online that would teach you all about internet marketing. So I joined that, and I was soon made into a moderator where I was helping other people with their websites. And I got to know a lot of the IM community through Stompernet. And like Andy Jenkins used to be my boss, for example. And that kind of catapulted me into trying to learn how to make a living online, and I've been trying ever since.
So what is it you actually do now?
Well, right now we try to have multiple income streams so that when something goes wrong, everything isn't a disaster. So we have website design, although we try not to do very much of that. It's usually just for people who know us quite well, or who know that they need some extra super duper coding done, because Russell will take care of that. Or in my case, what I bring to the party, I guess, is conversion and trying to understand what the essence is of the message so that we can make sure that anyone who lands on the page actually converts. That's really what I care about. So we try not to do too much web design unless the person is somebody who really appreciates those qualities. Usually people who are already using Infusionsoft and membership sites, that kind of thing. After that, we do Genesis Club training, which is a club that I run, and I encourage people to use Genesis, stay away from all drag and drop tools, and learn to do HTML and CSS, and to rely not on every plugin in the universe, but to be quite, selective about what they use, and to code the little bits that they can code. And I've had some success with that. There are people who are now quite self-sufficient who weren't before, who've been through that training.
And is that open to anyone who wants to build a website, or do you have any criteria?
Well, we usually have a conversation. Also, well, there are different levels in the Genesis Club. You can be an apprentice and you can be a solopreneur. If you're an apprentice, you just buy the course and work through the modules. And I do encourage people to join our Facebook group and ask questions when they're stuck. So we have people at that level, but then we have another level which is solopreneur, where we have one-on-one meetings every month and we help people to work through all their technical issues. So they're never alone. And I'm not particularly precious about Genesis. I don't tell them, oh, we use it because it's particularly fantastic. I'm sure it is. The reason I picked it is because it just happens to suit me. It's simple. It doesn't have loads and loads of bells and whistles. It lets you decide on your own bells and whistles. And really, the strength in it for me is that once you've made the decision to buy into it, you have all those starting themes. You pick the one that's closest, and then I teach you how to tweak it to make it different, to make it your own. And then after that, it's all about the messaging. So anyone can join as long as they buy into that, but plugin junkies are not welcome. People who need sort of intravenous drips of every new plugin going, they're not welcome.
Do you find you have some people who join, and do they then go on to develop websites for other people?
Yes, they do. I'm very careful to make sure they know that they're not developers. I mean, it takes years to become a developer, as everyone knows. They're implementers, and integrators of existing bits of software which they learn to bolt together and glue together with their CSS skills and their minor PHP skills and their HTML skills. I try to discourage any kind of drag and drop tool because I think it just makes it stops them thinking. It's a bit like a ready meal. If you're a good cook, you'll cook something at home, but if you're in a hurry, you might go out and buy one of those little packets of mashed potato that's already made, or you might go to a restaurant and have it all done for you. We all go to restaurants, but we also need the ability to cook at home, and that's the sort of analogy that I teach, if you like. And on top of that, the other thing we do is affiliate marketing, so that we have different niche sites bringing in income every month, and that's the part of my business that I want to grow.
Okay, so for the affiliate marketing, is that those products, are they all web-related products, or are they different things?
They are.
If you don't want, but
they are a sort of 80% at the moment, but I am branching out because there's a big world out there of people wanting stuff, and the Genesis community is really small, and so it would pay to actually branch out and do other types of affiliate marketing, and that's what I'm doing now. And I've just started doing CPA marketing, which, to be honest, was a bit of a mind screw, if you like, for me, because it kind of deals with some of the stranger products that are available, and so you have to get your brain around that. But once you do, there are amazing opportunities there for people who know how to.
What's CPA?
It's cost per action.
Awesome.
So yeah, so when you have an affiliate link and someone clicks on it, say you've got an affiliate link for StudioPress, they might buy a theme, and then you'll get a few dollars of the price that they paid for the theme. But cost per action means you get paid even if people don't buy, and there are certain products out there that will just pay for the lead.
Interesting. So with the three things you do, which one you spend your most time on?
The one I really enjoy, I love teaching people, so I do really enjoy the Genesis Club, and we've got some offshoot products from that. We've got the Genesis Club Pro plugin, which is basically a helper plugin where all the things that people ask for, we've kind of congealed into that plugin that we thought was sensible. And we've also got Genesis, a new site now called Genesis Blueprints, where there's step-by-step instructions to help people with PHP. I'm spending quite a lot of time on those three, but my plans are to not really do web design anymore, only do it for the odd person who I really like, and then spend more time doing affiliate marketing, because it's so it's just so interesting. And it's also interesting because if you go on many courses, you see these IM courses and people talking about them, and they always say affiliate marketing is something anyone can do, but the real trick is to have your own product. And people think, oh wow, I'd love to have my own product. Well, it's funny because we've come at it from the other way around. Your own product is fantastic, but affiliate marketing is also pretty good. So I think a nice mix of the two is great.
That sounds quite interesting. It's not something I've ever really given much thought to. So yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Well, in that case, we need to talk.
So where do you sort of work? Do you work at home or do you have an office or?
Well, we live in this old farmhouse. It's a Devon Longhouse. It was built in 1550, and it's basically got bits falling off it, and it's a constant struggle. And it's got 14 acres of ground, so that's another thing. In the summer, it costs us like £100 a week to have the grass cut, and that's just the bit we cut. The rest of it we just leave wild. So the house itself, it doesn't, with that much land, I've got to work here. So what we did is we built an office in the garden.
Suppose you've got enough space for one of those.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you have to get planning permission. That wasn't easy, but yeah, I've got an office in the garden. It's a wooden hut construction, and it's got a loo and a little kitchen. And we basically spend, I'm embarrassed to say, 16 hours a day in there at least. It's a long time.
And what is a Devon Longhouse, just for those who don't know?
What is it? It's always been, Devon Longhouses they're thatched, and they're long and thin, and they are built into a hillside or a slight slope, so that one end of the house is higher than the other end. And in the old days, in 1550 I guess, what they did is they kept all the animals in the lower end, and the humans lived at the top end, and then all the human dirt and debris was swept down the hill of the house inside into the animal pen. It's all a bit grim, really. And that's what it is now. And right now I'm speaking to you from the upper end, the high end, and the low end goes back down that way.
And you're located in Devon, near
Yes.
Bude, something like that. So do you do any sort of surfing or?
No, you're kidding. No. You're looking at a real landlubber here. I once went on a Mediterranean cruise with Russell and my mum, and we got to, I don't even know where it was, I was so sick. I got to some island off Spain somewhere, and I just got on a plane and flew home. I couldn't do it. It was horrible. No, we walked the dogs on the beach at Bude, which is about 25 minutes drive from here. So we're inland from Bude on the Devon border with Cornwall.
And what are your challenges working in Devon?
Well,
the advantages. So what are the challenges?
Well, the challenges. Whoa. I've always been sort of verging towards vegetarian, but living here, I've been catapulted in the last couple of months. I've now become vegan because there's an awful lot of killing that goes on when you live here. Our house is actually surrounded by cattle farms, and the abattoir's just up the road, so it's all a bit real, to be honest. Hey, it worked, Joe.
I know that email worked. You've got a cup of tea.
Russell's just brought me a cup of tea.
Thank you, Russell.
He can't hear you, but yeah. So the challenges are living amongst all these animals. I mean, and also the farmers are quite interesting characters. That's that, and also you can't go anywhere without being stuck behind a tractor. The advantages, the difficulties are it is very isolated, and I now see London as a major deal. For me, that's just so far away, and it's amazing how quickly you get stuck into this sort of country mindset. And I used to live in Spitalfields, so it's not like
Yeah, I suppose, I guess with where you're based as well, it must be tricky to get out to sort of like WordPress meetups or WordCamps or other networking type things.
Yeah, it's tricky to go, but it's also that I have an elderly mum that I look after, and also my dogs are, so you can't just leave them. So we're kind of stuck because of our responsibilities. So working online is ideal. The customers we have are the web design customers we have we've got a few in the UK, but most of them are in the States. And in fact, when I do a website, I always try to point my traffic or point it towards the United States, because that just seems to be a better fit for us in terms of what we offer and who signs up. So the fact that we're here is irrelevant, because we try to, you know, unlike you, Joe, I don't meet any of my clients.
I've got quite a few I don't meet as well, but yeah, I'm actually trying to build up some more local clients in Marlborough and everything, but that's going quite well. So what I was going to ask, I noticed that you very kindly let me join your Facebook group, your Genesis Club Facebook group, and that you do literally have people from across the globe in your group, don't you?
Yeah, there are people from all over. Yeah, definitely. Not everybody speaks up, but there are a lot of lurkers there, as there are in any group. But yes, we try to throw our net as wide as we can. And the emphasis is that we just want people to be self-sufficient and not feel that they've. You see, I think if if a person hasn't got vocabulary, then they don't have the ability to express themselves, and that's a little bit like not being able to do even the basics, HTML and CSS, because if you haven't got those two, then you've just lost the ability to express yourself online without relying on a translator, like a drag and drop tool. And if that drag and drop tool doesn't have the precise meaning that you want to express, then you can't express it. And that to me just seems daft. And you see it in forums. You just have to go into a forum and you just see people twisting themselves up in knots over things that are really actually quite simple. But they don't have the mindset at that time to see how simple they are. And that's really, it's just born out of that frustration, which is why I started the club. Unfortunately, I guess the message of that is quite complex to get across, and not everyone buys into it. You know, some people want to drag and drop their way through it.
Yeah, yeah, but a drag and drop will only get you so far, won't it? If you want to do something quite custom, you can only go so far. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And when I get a web design customer, I always try to find out whether I can persuade him to build it himself. And it's only if I fail that we take it on.
So, how long have you been working for yourself? Some time?
Oh, it's a long time. Well, we were computer contractors before. I mean, when my last set of jobs in banking in the city, I was just contracting, and obviously that's a highly lucrative way of earning your living. So if you count that, then many years. But just here, 2000. Well, I tell you what I did. Because Russell was still working in the city, it didn't really matter what I did. I could just play around. And I built myself a shopping cart. I decided I wanted to be an e-commerce person. It's stupid of me, but there you go. I bought a load of stock. I started searching for. I decided I'd do crafting. Okay, you know, like beads and bits of string and rubber stamps. So I bought all this stock. I built a website, and I built the shopping cart from scratch myself, the whole thing, and it was brilliant. I did the SEO. Fine. I think this was about 2006, and it did quite well. And I'm pretty, I understood how to get the traffic, and people were coming. And then I realised that I was spending my entire day packaging up beads and rubber stamps, and I was looking at having to price things that didn't belong to me and make my prices lower or somehow add value so people would buy from me. And the worst part, having to answer questions about rubber stamps and how to make a birthday card, and I had no interest, zero interest in any of this stuff, and I couldn't really tell people how to use these things. So I'd chosen a product because I thought it would do well, and hadn't factored in I couldn't stand any of it. So I sold the lot to some woman on eBay.
Yeah.
And decided to, and around about that time is when Russell decided to leave the city, and I said to him, look, you've got to get into this thing, it's called WordPress. And so he looked down his nose at it, and so he did. So and then we started, and he wrote Slicker Flicker. That was his first plugin. And meanwhile I was just doing training with Stompernet, and so then I ended up gravitating towards doing my own training. I don't know if that. Sorry.
How do you find working with the husband?
Well, we met working, so for us it's completely natural that's, you know, he's probably the best, well, one of the top 3 coders I've ever met in my life, and so I was full of admiration for his abilities at work, and I still am, so I find it very easy. In fact, we work a lot because we enjoy doing it.
Do you find you kind of discussing kind of the next job over breakfast, or kind of
yes,
kind of talking through, almost like Robert Duck programming, talking through an issue that one of you might
have?
Yeah.
Design issues, like he'll ask me about, he's thinking of designing something new, and I'll say, no, I wouldn't do it that way. Because although I don't develop, we made this decision that I would stop developing and he would do it all, because neither of us had the graphic skills, so I decided to become the person with the graphic skills. What a joke. So I've got a good eye for colour, so I just taught myself Photoshop, and I've enjoyed doing that. So, and now on the Genesis Club, I tell people, get Photoshop. It's just the best program in the entire universe. And I do get by tutorials for people in how to do things that typically WordPress people will need. And so I've made myself the graphics person, but I'm not a real one. I just do it as in fact, I was talking to a client last night. He thought I was a graphics trained person when he asked us to do his website, and I said, no, I haven't a clue. I just do the best I can. And he said, well, anyway, I showed him his site last night. He thinks it's fantastic, so I must be, okay at it. So there you are.
The client's happy, then that's that, really. Yeah.
Got a question from Craig, kind of related to that. So, what's your favourite StudioPress or third-party theme to work with, and what's the most challenging parts of WordPress for your students?
Oh, right. My favourite, well, I'll tell you this. Well, it's not quite true. I bought Epic, for example. That's a third-party theme that's not StudioPress. And I've got a couple of others. But in general, I don't deviate from the ones that are in the Pro Plus pack that comes with the whole StudioPress thing, because from my point of view, there's absolutely no point. I think they're adequate starting points, and I will choose whichever one that I think will be closest to where I'm going. But if I had to pick one that I just happen to like out of the box, which if I'm, I've got to do something in a hurry, it's almost always 1140. I love that theme.
What aspects of it do you like?
The typography, it just looks. Do you remember, like, when you were a kid? I don't know if you were like this. There were certain types of paper that you just liked writing on. No, you don't. Okay, when I was at school, I don't know, if you had to write something, there was just certain paper that it felt really good to write. Well, 1140 is like that. The print on the page just looks incredibly satisfying. So I just it just makes me think, oh, this is going to be a great site. The right content in this frame will, go places. Some of them, the out of the box, obviously you can change all these things, but out of the box, that's the one I like the best. What was the other part of the question? What do they find difficult?
What's the most challenging parts of WordPress for your students?
Wow. For my students, I tell you what, I think it's belief. In fact, I'm going to address this in the course pretty soon. I think sometimes we hold things that I rather jokingly call masterclasses, where I'm the master, and that's only because I've got the whip. But basically, I'm going to hold a masterclass about earning money from a site. You see, it's a penny that dropped for me some years ago, and I've got to find a way to make it drop for other people. I remember, do you mind if I tell this? I was working with Stompernet, and I was on a training they were doing, and Dan Thies was talking, and he was talking about conversion and all the rest of it, and I realized suddenly that most people, including myself at that time, had websites that didn't have a goal. Some people, they'll put a website up and they spend ages and ages worrying about the theme. In fact, this is it, Craig. The Genesis Club person often turns up in the club saying, oh, will you help me with my theme choice? As if the theme choice is going to be even 1% towards the success of their project. It has nothing to do with it. At the end of the day, you've got a home page and some internal pages. They've all got that. unless they're landing, one-page landing sites or something. That's got nothing to do with it. It's not the theme. That's not where you start. So I think there are several things they find difficult. One is they get fixated on this theme thing. The next thing is that once they get into the CSS and the HTML, it's as if they go through the course, and I've gone to great pains to make the CSS part of the course extremely accessible to people, but it's like it goes in one ear and out of the other, because they still come back with questions, really simple questions, which they actually should know the answer to, but it's just easier to ask. And I think what they don't grasp is that they have enormous power in their hands. It's just they actually need to run with that power and do something with it. So I think it's a conceptual problem that most people have.
So your Genesis isn't just about learning how to use Genesis and building a website using Genesis. It's actually much broader than that. It's all about making money from your website, the conversion.
Yes, yeah.
Broadly an internet marketing club.
Well, I don't want to call it an internet marketing club, but in a way, that's where I want people to go, because Genesis at the end of the day is just a tool in order to make some money, unless you're a charity, in which case you're trying to do something else. But if everyone starts by saying, this is going to be a website, when they buy the domain name, this website is going to make me some money. I'm going to do everything I can do to make this website make me some money, because we live currently in an age where many of us are actually going to be impoverished in our old age because of all the different things that have gone wrong, and some people haven't planned. And this is a way for people, if they are prepared, I have to say, you have to be prepared to work ever so hard, but it's a way for you to actually grasp something inside of you that you have to tell the world, package that, and then put it onto a site that gives the right message and draws the right people in. And I think that is so incredibly exciting, liberating, and it's only been possible since we've had the internet to avail ourselves of. So it's really, I'm endlessly fascinated by this.
So true. I had a potential client come to me, and she said she wanted 3 new websites. She had 3 new business ideas, and she wanted 3 new websites. And I sort of said to her, let's not try and attempt to work on all 3 at once. Let's focus on one first. And I sort of said, which one should we start with first? She goes, oh, I don't know. And I said, which one's going to make the most money first? And it was sort of like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's start there, and we identified which one that we were going to concentrate on first. But it seemed to be like it wasn't something that she had initially thought about, how is each of these 3 things going to earn an income?
Right, and there are different types of client like that as well, because you get clients who have offline businesses. So I've got somebody who's thinking about a website but probably will never do it, who's a friend of mine who lives locally. They sell wood, and that's fine. They will never see a website as a way of earning money. It'll just be a marketing tool. It's just a bit like a business card. It just happens to be online. But that's quite different to someone who's not got an offline business, and they maybe want to sell an information product. So that's something that didn't exist 10 minutes ago. They create it. It now exists as a digital item, so it's complete fresh air apart from its intellectual content. And then the website suddenly becomes the only way that thing is going to sell. And that's the exciting thing. You can create something from nothing apart from your own experience, and then catapult that thing out there in all directions like a spray gun. And rather than hope, plan minutely your assault. It's really exciting. It's like being like, I don't know, the general of an army. And you've got to somehow plan your infiltration into a market. It's really, really exciting. And I'm not saying I'm that brilliant at it. I'm just everybody's on a trajectory of learning, but I can teach people behind me. Obviously, I can't teach people in front of me. I have to learn from them. So I just find it very, very. In fact, as I sit here, I'm thinking, when can I go back and do some more?
Some
He's very passionate about it then.
Yes.
some excellent quotes in there. I like that. Everyone's on a trajectory of learning. I think it was probably my favourite on there.
Oh my God.
We had Vaughan tweeted in, said, yeah, Lizzie is so right. I can't believe the number of people I see asking which theme would be suitable for the next niche or Y niche. Or niche.
I know. I know. Don't you just want to strangle them? It's a good job we're online and we can't.
I think a lot of it comes down to someone says, "Oh, I'm doing a site about cars. Oh, therefore I must use was it Metro or one particular thing."
Just it's got a car on it. Yeah.
Because they had an image of the car on it. I said, "Well, you take that out and you put an image of a dentist chair, and suddenly that's website or that theme for being a dental practice website." So I think the imagery, I mean, it's almost if we switch it around, it's a positive point for those who are trying to sell themes. So if you're trying to attract a target market, you can have pretty much the similar sort of theme, just set up in different ways. And you say, hey, look, this theme here is suitable for dental practice, and this one for selling cars, or this one for something else. And all it is the same theme, just with different content set up on kind of different demo sites. And you'll be able to get a wider range of audience for that. I know that then almost it's almost a negative for the customers who then get confused about, oh, well, hang on a minute, I'm trying to find a theme that is suitable for it, and it's exactly the same theme. But I think if you are trying to sell themes out there, then I think you can use that to your advantage in some ways to increase your bottom line.
You can, but then, I mean, obviously theme designers who do that, they're not wrong and they're not bad at all. But from the customer's point of view, if that's what they're going on, then you almost know their site's going to be a disaster. If that, it's going to not, it's just going to sit there with no visitors ever, because there's more to it than that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, definitely. You've got to have a reason for building a website. And myself, I've kind of had leads come in, and when you go back and say, okay, well, who are you targeting? Who's your target audience for this website? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to kind of get conversions, or what's the goal of the website? And they struggle to answer.
Yes.
So you think, okay, well, yes, I can build you a theme. I can take this pretty mock-up and build something out of it. But actually, that's just providing one little bit of a service, and actually improving your business in any way, other than you now happen to have a website that doesn't do anything or doesn't really achieve what you think it should achieve. So I think those who can really dig deep into what a business is after, of which the implementation happens to be it comes via a website, I think that is where you get the extra value from taking on a WordPress person, a WordPress professional.
Right, yes, that's right. Although, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to because I just can't help it. I absolutely loathe having to get my head into someone else's business, and I know there are many WordPress designers, web designers out there who love that process. They actually enjoy thinking about, garages or dental practices or whatever it is they're doing. I absolutely hate it because I think that the essence of what they're trying to achieve has to come from that person. And if they are doing one of those, well, you just do me a website and when it's done, I'll be back. I'll pay the bill and that's the end of it. The failure's already built in. So I prefer to work personally with people who are more in line with my way of thinking. So I really like to help people who are doing information products because... And my favourite way to help them is that we do if I'm doing the web design with them, is that we do a collaborative approach where we're actually a small team working on it together. And so I've done a few like that. And then what that does is that they end up learning from me about how we're not going to have any tools to do this. We're going to write the HTML and the CSS, and I'm going to set you up with some classes, and that's how it's going to work. And also, we plan absolutely every part of that page, like a strategy. But I've had clients, an attack strategy, but I've had clients who don't want to buy into that, and I've just had to do it all. But there are limits to how much I'm going to crawl inside their brain for what they're going to pay, total.
Well, that's it. I think if you then look at kind of the value-based pricing and say, well, I can do this for this level, or I can I can spend that time and I can dig deep into your business, but it's going to cost you
Oh,
a lot more,
yeah.
because the results will be much more from that.
Yeah,
How
plus
do
I'd
you?
rather be doing something else. Yeah, go on.
Oh, okay. How do you kind of price up your client jobs? Do you do fixed price or hourly, or
No,
does it just depend
no,
on the job?
we do it hourly. We've tried all sorts of ways, and in the end, this is what we do. We have some fixed price elements, and there aren't very many of those. The rest of it, we do hourly, and the hourly rate's about $125 an hour, because if it were up to me, the site would be over within probably a day, a day and a half, because I know what I want to do. You're the person who's causing me to slow down. So therefore, you need to be in control of the break. And the only way I can put you in control of the break is to put an hourly rate down on you. I know some people don't agree with that. It should be value-based and all the rest of it. But something like a membership site, for example, the types that we get involved with are really, really quite complicated. People want all sorts of very strange stuff and often require custom programming. And now, my background is one where I used to get involved in projects that, had functional specifications that would fill a room. I mean, we spent a year writing a functional specification only to have it read, not quite signed off, and then have to change the whole thing again. So I know how to specify, but those were projects worth millions of pounds. These are not, and there comes a point where trying to specify everything and price it in advance is impossible. And if you were to do it, you'd need to be paid to do it as a pricing project. If someone wants to do that, then I'll do that, but it's just not worth it. And with the experience of running and working on large projects that we've both got, these really are all very small in comparison, so I can hold them in my head. We use FreedCamp and we use Proposify. They're not, FreeCamp's okay. Proposify, I haven't found a tool that works really well, but this one kind of works. It shows the fixed price bits, it shows the variable bits. They get to sign off the thingamabob online, so they sign it. All looks really good, but it only works in one currency, and I need it at least in two. I want to be able to say this item, this fixed price item, is X dollars or X pounds, depending on which client I'm talking to, but it can't do that. So it's a bit, it's okay, but it doesn't quite hit the spot. But yeah, we do hourly mostly.
Where do you see your business in 12 months' time?
Right. In 12 months' time, I would like to be in the Bahamas. No, I would actually. I'll probably still be in Devon though. No, in 12 months' time, I would like to have Genesis blueprints up and running. It's currently very low cost because it's only just started, but I'm hoping we'll raise the price on that at some point. Have that up and running. Have Genesis Club still going, but the rest of it, I'll have said goodbye to web design altogether, apart from one or two people that I like who come up to me, who are nice to me. But the rest of it will be affiliate marketing and information product creation that I'll create.
Is that where kind of your side of thing, or is Russell
Yes.
being dragged along to the same bit, or is he going to stick with development?
No, he's going to stick with development. He was born coding, I think, so he's never going to change. He enjoys coding. His next thing is kind of influenced by me, because I need a click manager, something that tracks the clicks really well. We've chosen our click manager of choice, and he's writing add-on software to it and a WordPress plugin to help it work a bit more easily. And so he's building that out at the moment. And that basically, I think of things I need and I ask him to build them. So he'll carry on doing that. And because I've got the development background too, I know what's possible. And if he says he doesn't feel like it, I say, no, I know you can do that, so just do that.
Yeah, do it, yeah.
Do it.
Would you ever go back to being an employee at another company?
Well, I've thought about trying to get a job here locally, just so I see people, because we don't see anyone from one day to the next. Very sparsely populated around here, and if you're not into farming and knees up Mother Brown, and there isn't anything to do. So I did think about it, But Russell always says to me that I haven't got any time, so he's right, I don't. So no, I think is the answer. He might, though. He might just think going back to the city is a good idea. I don't know.
We've met at the we had a one-day Genesis event down in the southwest. You said before that you enjoyed that. Kind of there was a group who were trying to get the Genesis retreat going. Would you like to see something more happen, either something more regularly that's Genesis specific or WordPress specific, or something just within your area, even if it's not kind of?
I don't mind travelling as long as when I get there I can park and I can bring my dogs. That's the criteria for us. Bring the dogs and park. So that kind of basically means, one thing I hate is struggling to find a parking space. So yeah, somewhere around London, don't mind, as long as we can do those things. So yes, I would do that. But once it gets too complicated, like for me, WordCamp's impossible because we've got these. I mean, some people think we're crazy, but I love my dogs, and they're rescue dogs. They've got issues, and they can't be left. And so unless I can take them, I can't go. That's it.
Yep. Okay. Should we do the quick fire round?
You ready? Do you want me to kick that off, Gary?
Go on, you go for that then.
Oh dear.
So, just a series of really short little questions, just looking for short little answers. What did you want to be when you grew up?
Astronaut.
Astronaut, wow. Do you use a Mac or a PC?
PC.
And what code editor do you use? Well, you said you don't do any code anymore.
I don't do it anymore, and when I did, oh gosh, I used I think Web Builder is what I used to use years ago.
I'm just going to skip over a couple because a lot of them are assuming you're more of a developer. So you talked about doing Photoshop designs and stuff like that. So what do you use for design wireframes and mock-ups?
I use WordPress. I don't get having to do it on a wireframe. I just think some people make products for just time to spare or something. There's no need for it. I just don't get it.
Okay. What's your? I should actually have my notes a little bit closer to my screen. So what I was going to say, what's your must-have plugin? When you build a site? What plugins?
Well, yeah, that's easy. Every single site has Genesis Club Pro because it's our plugin, and it has all the things that I do need on a site built in because I thought of them, so that's why they're in there. So I have that and Genesis Extender, and now Russell doesn't use that, but I do, and I like it because it's really good for my members because it facilitates their ability to put in code snippets safely. Like you can make a mistake in the PHP and it won't kill the site, and also it facilitates them being able to add their own widget areas and stuff really quite easily. That's my dog. So Genesis Extender, Genesis Club Pro, Widget Logic, and Yoast. They're my four that will always be on a site.
And do you have a particular starter theme that you would start with Genesis? If you were to build.
Yeah, I start with any of the ones that I think will be closest to where I'm going. I'm a great believer in taking the theme and not doing a lot to it. But having said that, most of mine are unrecognizable once I've finished. But I haven't really done that much.
Okay, and have you ever written a public theme or a public plugin?
No, I've designed. Well, we've got themes, but we don't market them. We just use them ourselves, and some of our members buy them. But they're Russell's really. I might have done the design, but Russell's got his name on them because he does all the difficult bit.
What do you think of a customizer?
I think it's utterly pointless. I hate it. And I don't see why anybody in their right minds would go anywhere near it.
That's an opinion. Okay, how would you like to see WordPress changing over the next 5 years? Anything you'd like it to do?
Other than removing the customizer by the sound of it.
I don't know, they can keep it if they want. I just won't use it. What would I like to see? I don't know if there's anything I could say that's something I should say on a film, on camera.
Okay. You're going then?
Yeah. I think I'd just like to see the whole community be a little bit less precious. You know, there are all sorts of people, and you go into forums and people are arguing about things that are, nothing to do with anything, or it doesn't matter. There's always going to be some people who like this and some people who like that. Just live and let live, and let's just get on with it, because at the end of the day, WordPress is just a CMS, and it's just a CMS there to make websites, and websites are there so that you can make some income. So just concentrate on that.
Wise words. Is there anything you would like to see changed in the Genesis framework?
I'm slightly concerned that, well, I was on a meeting the other day where a very big name guy said to everybody on the meeting, obviously I used to recommend Genesis, I don't anymore. And then he named the thing that he did recommend, which I won't name because, I'd rather that wasn't the case. And that worries me, because someone like him, who I do, I admire him, he's a great guy, why would he do that? Why would he say that? And I think it's because there are lots of tools now out there making it just too easy. And it's all right for him because he's got this massive team of technicians who can bolt on all the different bits that this tool that he recommends doesn't do. But it's not good advice for people who aren't in that position. It sets them backwards for all the reasons I've set out before. So what worries me, and what I'd like to see change in Genesis, is more of an emphasis coming from Studio Press or Rainmaker, whatever they're called nowadays, to emphasize how more to help us as a community, or as a set of affiliates, because I'm a Studio Press affiliate, as I'm sure we all are, to show why Genesis is good. I mean, it's left to us to do it. We don't really get much help from them, do we, to give the message out about why Genesis is a great tool. And that's fine, it's worked so far, but I think there's competition coming.
I think I get asked that question a lot as well. Why do you use Genesis? And it's tricky to find.
It's very tricky. It's very tricky.
Yeah. So
the story is very long.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to ask you now. Actually, what would you say are the benefits of Genesis to other developers?
All right. Okay. Well, the obvious benefit that I see, well, this may be true of other things, I don't know because I haven't bothered. Again, going back to the fact that what we're all trying to do is make a living, we need to throw away everything that is just, social conversation around the topic of which is the best theme. Genesis is a perfectly good theme. I mean, there are aspects of it that aren't very good. Talk to Russell, he'll tell you. I have no idea what they are. I'm not interested. He is. But he often says to me, oh, I wish they'd do this because it's stupid. But it's just a tiny bit of what they do that he doesn't like. The rest of it's fine. It's good enough. It gives you this fantastic opportunity to have all these starting themes, and if you haven't yet, then please go ahead and buy the Pro Plus pack, because they're soon going to introduce monthly pricing on that, so it's still available at a one price, so take it. And then you will always have a good starting place to make another site that can be another income stream for you. The fact that there's something gorgeous on ThemeForest, and yes, it is, it's like theme porn when you go to ThemeForest, it's absolutely gorgeous, but who cares? It's just there to make the ThemeForest guys money, not you. Yeah? So what do I like about Genesis is that it's distraction free, it gives you just what you need. You're then able to use your own skills to add little bolt-ons that you can add, especially if you're a member of the Genesis Club, because I show you how. And then you take that and you take your own talent, you add it together, and you hopefully move towards a better financial position. Whereas you can spend your life looking at ThemeForest. It's like looking at the top shelf in the magazine shop. Good luck to you. I don't know what else to say. It strikes me as very sensible, but not everyone's sensible.
Did you watch Genesis Camp last year? And if it's going to run again this year, would you present?
Do you know, if somebody asked me to present, I would, but then you've seen what you'll get. And it's a bit, I don't know. Yes, I would. I didn't watch it. No. Do you know something? I'll tell you why I didn't watch it. I thought it was a live thing, and you had to go. I didn't even notice that it was something that was online, and that was my own fault because I was so tied up deep into what I was doing. I didn't notice. I'm sorry, I didn't.
I think the videos are all still available on YouTube somewhere, so there we go. I don't understand question 19, Gary, so I'm going to leave you to answer that one.
Is that, do you pronounce it GIF or GIF?
Oh, GIF. GIF's a sort of sink cleaner.
Do you prefer www or non-www domains?
I prefer www.
Why?
Because, simply because if I do a site colon and I've got subdomains, I don't want to have to spend the next 5 years trying to count them. If the www is there, then I can see how many pages are in each subdomain.
Okay. What was your first domain that you purchased?
First what? Domain? Oh my God. It was webgirl.com. Oh, no, it wasn't. No, yeah, I purchased it, but it was like in 1998. And I only did it because I thought I ought to, because everybody was saying, oh, websites are a big thing now. And I was contracting at the time, and you know when you're a contractor you have to have a little limited company to put your earnings through, and I had Webgirl Limited, and so I bought webgirl.com and never did anything with it, and then it fell off, I didn't renew it, and then I thought, oh my gosh, I must renew it, and I went to renew it, and it had gone, somebody else had bought it, and it was a porn site. So I then had to ring up the company house and change the name of my company because I didn't want to have Webgirl Limited anymore.
It's kind of looks like personal ads, online singles, American Girl. So yeah, it's not quite a porn site, but it's a place of dubious.
It was a porn site at the time.
Well, lesson for us all: make sure you renew your domains, especially if they're related to your business.
Yes, yes, that's right. But you have to forgive me. It was 1998.
Fair enough.
What does you mentioned your Genesis Club Pro plugin a couple of times? Can you just kind of outline what that does as a plugin?
Well, it's got right now over 100 functions, and what it is we had the Genesis Club, and people were in it, and we were helping them with their sites. But what happened then is that people started to say, "Oh, can you hear me?"
You just went silent to me.
Okay.
Anyway.
No, you're fine here.
Okay. People were saying, how do you do this and how do you do that? And if it was an answer that I could give in HTML and CSS, then we gave them the answer. But occasionally an answer would require PHP. And I've always said PHP is where I draw the line. I'm not teaching that. That's a developer function. And so I said to Russell, so-and-so has asked for this. I don't want to tell them how to do it. Do you think you could just write a little plugin to do it? And he said, okay. So he wrote, and he said, what should I call it? And I said, you may as well call it Genesis Club. So he called it Genesis Club, and he put the function in. And then I said to the membership, here's the plugin, because they get the plugin if they join. I said, here's that thing you were asking for the other day, and they were very happy. Well, that kept going on, and now we're up to over 100 functions. But we don't just because someone says they want something in it, we don't add it. We only add it if we think it's sensible. So basically, what it is all the incredibly useful things you could possibly want all in one space. And these are things that I would have written myself or coded myself or asked Russell to do. And now I don't have to because it's just there. And because it goes with our philosophy and our way of doing things, it means that people in the Genesis Club really appreciate it. I mean, they really do. They love it. They're always singing its praises and saying how marvelous it is and the rest of it. So maybe that's because I've taught them to like it. But, it's harder for people not in the club to appreciate it because I don't think they quite get it, and we need to do a better job of explaining what it is.
The light version is in WordPress.org, isn't it? The light version?
Yeah, the light version is, and there's quite a lot in the light version. That's on WordPress.org, yeah. Genesis Club Lite.
The functions it's got.
Yeah, well, that's not nearly as many as the others. It just means that we can get a site up and running really fast. Sorry.
Is there a cost to being in your Genesis Club?
Yes, oh yeah, there is. Otherwise, I couldn't pay my mortgage. Otherwise, I'd be sitting there answering questions all day and not. Yes, there is. It's Oh, you're going to ask me how much it is.
No, I was going to say, where can we find out more about it?
GenesisClub.training is the website. There's a one-off cost to the course, and if you're a solopreneur who wants ongoing help every month, then that's $99 a month.
Yep. So if you're interested in the full plugin or just some extra training to do with Genesis, then go and have a look at genesisclub.training. Question from Craig: do you have any essential tools for building a membership site, or what's your go-to membership plugin?
Well, that's a tough question because we use Infusionsoft, and most people don't use Infusionsoft because it costs $300 a month minimum. So it's expensive. But for Infusionsoft users, we recommend iMember 360. It is, now I was going to say the DBs, but you can't say that. It is the most amazing membership plugin, but it does require Infusionsoft. If we're not using Infusionsoft, then it's harder, to be honest, and most of the membership sites that we build, for other people, use Infusionsoft and iMember 360, so probably that's going to be my answer. To be honest, the others are much of a muchness. No membership site software does everything. Wishlist Member, I think, is getting a little bit tired now. It's not got some of the functions that it needs, and I'm not sure that it's getting updated as much as it could. Paid Membership Pro, yes. I know that Russell used that on a recent project, and he had to write a lot of code to fill in the bits that it didn't do, and he did. He wrote a lot of code, and he spoke to the developer quite a lot, but that guy couldn't be persuaded to add the bits that were missing, so that was a bit difficult. That's really all I've got to say, because we are iMember 360 specialists. I'd leave it at that.
Yep. If you're interested in kind of a review of a lot of the membership plugins out there, I know Chris Lemmer, chrislemmer.com did a kind of, it was about 30 days worth of membership plugins reviews and so on, and then kind of broke it down as to.
Yeah, I didn't agree with some of the things he said though.
No, but pretty much break it down into kind of some are good, some are bad, some are good for certain people in certain situations, and others will suit you better. It really depends on exactly how you want to run that membership site as to which plugin then becomes best and what else you're going to integrate it with. So, who would you most like to see on the podcast in the future?
You, Gary.
I'm here now. Okay.
When are we actually interviewing you, Gary? What date was that?
2 weeks' time, I believe.
Oh, really? Who's interviewing you? Is that job up for grabs?
It's Joe and Paul.
Oh, damn.
I quite like the idea of having some kind of competition. Who wants to be my co-host when we interview Gary?
I think you're quite right, Joe.
Okay, put your tweets in or your Slack to Joe, and she'll judge on something or other. Where, Liz, can we find you all online? Where are your different sites?
My Facebook group, Genesis Clubbers, is the best place to find me, and I let anybody join that. You don't have to have paid us anything to be in that. It's just that if you haven't paid, I'd prefer that you didn't ask me too many questions. Otherwise, I'd never get anything done. But you can lurk and you can see what we say to other people and that kind of thing. That's one place. To be honest, I'm finding Slack rather overwhelming. I tried to get involved, but you end up helping somebody and it can take hours to help them. I just don't. I'm time poor, very time poor, and I guess one answer to the question you asked me earlier is to try and make myself a little bit less able, a bit more able to have some spare time. I just don't have too many things going on really. But then it's our work-focused life. It's just who we are. Yeah, Facebook is good. Slack's bad. Skype's good, but Facebook's probably my number one.
Yep, and websites?
GenesisClubPro.com, GenesisClub.training, GenesisBlueprints.com, Slicker Flickr subscription. I mean, we've got lots of them. Subscription both. There's loads, and so any of them really.
Cool. Okay, thank you very much for joining us today, Liz. Thank you for being
Okay.
co-host, Joe. Thank you to those who are listeners and sent the questions in. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Cheers. Bye.
Okay, bye.